Hi, I'm Charlotte Devine, and this is my Midcourse Project 1, Teach a Friend About Anthropology. Today, I want to explain some key principles of anthropology and give you context into what it is and how to approach it. The most general description is that anthropology is the study of humanity. Anthropologists dig deeper into people, what they believe, and how they influence and are influenced by culture. There are 4 branches in anthropology, and they all connect to give us a more complete picture of humanity. Cultural anthropology, biological anthropology, linguistic anthropology, and archaeology. All of these disciplines are equally important, and all are influenced by culture. You might not understand what culture actually is. Is it our style, what we watch on TV, what we like to eat? It includes all of those things, but it's so much more. Really, it's learned, shared behaviors, practices, beliefs, and values within a group that influence that group's perspective on the world. We aren't born with a culture, we learn it from the people around us. Culture connects us to communities with similar values and experiences and highlights what's unique about different groups. For instance, Christmas and Kwanzaa come from different cultures. Both are celebrated in late December. Gifts are given for both. The differences lie in appearance, tradition, and the distinct meaning these hold in their respective cultures. An important principle of anthropology is avoiding ethnocentrism, judging another culture with your cultural biases. Different cultures behave differently because they come from different contexts. There's no right way to behave. The concept I've been building up to is cultural relativism, which means that every culture's unique aspects make sense within its context and should therefore only be judged within that context. Instead of jumping to biased conclusions, anthropologists try to understand the why behind someone's behavior based on their experiences and values. Instead of dismissing cultural differences as strange, ask what meaning they hold within their culture, and hopefully your perspective expands through understanding. Globalization is the web that connects all the cultures of the world with shared ideas, items, and traditions. Just for an example, McDonald's started in America in 1940 and now has locations in 120 countries that vary the menu by the local culture's cuisine. This global development network is positive in the sense of increasing access to items that were scarce or non-existent to a culture, but can bring on cultural homogenization. Because the ideals shift, local traditions and goods are often valued less than the dominant culture's items and customs. The worry is that distinct cultural identities fade and change with homogenization. Going with our McDonald's example, someone from Mexico might prefer McMolletes to a traditional Mexican restaurant mollete because it's presented as the ideal by Western advertising. Anthropology can help us understand and differentiate the blended and distinct aspects of different cultures and how they came to be. Identity is an important part of culture. You identify with what you do and believe, and how that differs from other people and cultures. I identify as a person that likes eating cheeseburgers, while someone else identifies as a vegetarian who would never touch one. These aspects of our identities are influenced by our culture and personal experiences. How people express their identities and how that identity connects or separates them from communities is paramount in understanding cultural influence on individual identity. The behaviors, symbols, and ideals within a culture are the building blocks for our identities. Something like a cheeseburger, one of my favorite things to eat, holds meaning for me in the sense that I'm treating myself, I'm doing something I enjoy. But a cheeseburger means something different to, for example, a practicing Hindu from India who's vegetarian because they believe in nonviolence and compassion towards all living things. Now, that's not to say that when I eat a cheeseburger, it's emblematic of my belief in violence and hate towards animals. My cultural context of a cheeseburger is different, and therefore the way I identify with it is different. Anthropology teaches us to understand other people's identities with cultural relativity and to turn that lens back on our own identity. One of the most important anthropological methods of discovery is fieldwork. When an anthropologist studies a community in the context of fieldwork, they do not play the objective observer researcher. Then they fully immerse themselves in local routines, customs, and speak to a variety of people about their worldview and how that is influenced by culture. This is called participant observation, the opposite of armchair academics. If you're studying local cuisine, for example, you might help out in a kitchen, choose ingredients, serve and consume a meal in a traditional setting. Throughout your research, the why is the focus behind the info you gather. With the local cuisine example, you might ask, why is the food prepared this way? Why is that important? What foods tie into what celebrations or holidays? What do these foods represent? Are meals communal? Who eats first? These questions help you understand the deeper meaning behind unfamiliar actions and how that meaning influences and is influenced by its culture. My fieldwork activities have taught me to listen and observe without judgment or assumption that a person feels a certain way based on what they say or look like. It's taught me to dig deeper into people and consider how my biases influence my perception of them. Anthropology is about looking beneath surface appearances and impressions you have of a culture and asking why, without judging the answer from your cultural context. Fieldwork creates the basis of understanding a day-to-day life within any culture. An interpretation of this should be held to the standard of cultural relativism. This standard is about more than acceptance. It recognizes the beauty and variation in our personal and cultural identities. Both the unique and the blended characteristics build up the picture, not just of who we are, how we see the world, and how we relate to others, but who came before us, who is here now, what beliefs do they hold, and how are we similar or different. It's important to approach what's unfamiliar in the world with curiosity and reverence, asking the meaningful questions. That is the core of anthropology.